discuss that issue of the supervision. I don't want a technical problem to frustrate us down the line.
I talked to felony probation in court this morning. They only handle the court's felony probation. I tried to call the misdemeanor probation office, and from my experience in this morning, that's like trying to call the White House. You cannot get hold of them.
Well, to be clear, I don't anticipate any problems on this, and I fully expect that BSO could do the supervision. It's that the transfer of the local supervision to Wisconsin, I've seen that not work before because the foreign jurisdiction says we were not set up to deal with local probation, but we can work with state probation.
No, I understand that. Just I don't know how to, if that should arise after my plan is to go from here with my client to misdemeanor probation across the street to get them signed up and all the forms and paperwork completed. I'm assuming they'll tell me something at that point if they say it's not going to work or we have to contact Wisconsin. The agreement was my client would not have to remain in Broward County waiting for the transfer. He would be able to leave and return home. My suggestion would be, let's proceed forward. I will take him there. I will get him registered and signed up. They will hopefully attempt to initiate the transfer. If they bring an issue to my attention, because I will give them my card, then I will reach out to the state and tell them that the issue that Your Honor anticipated has arisen. How do we handle that? I don't know how to do it from here. Felony probation is not going to supervise a misdemeanor case.
They will.
Well, they're going to supervise felony cases.
I can definitely order, and I'm not saying it's what we have to do. This is a matter of negotiation between the parties, but if the parties want, just to make sure that we don't have a problem with the supervision in Wisconsin so that the transfer happens, Mr. McConnell could be instructed in the courtroom today, and it's done, and then just wait on the transfer to be accepted in Wisconsin. I think that might be cleaner, but it's just a suggestion at this point.
Well, my client has no objections to that. I did discuss that with him before I tried to reach probation.
Okay.
That's fine. As an alternative, that's fine for us. If it needs to be supervised by felony probation, he has no problem with that. I'm assuming the same type of supervision, which I've already explained and what to expect when he returns to Wisconsin.
It should be. I think it's just going to be more user-friendly, especially in dealing with the other jurisdiction.
Okay, so if misdemeanor probation tells us there's an issue, at least we have a fallback position with felony probation. That's fine.
Well, it's fine that you want to order the state probation now as part of the sentence, because what I think is going to happen is they're going to say everything's fine over at BSO, and then 6-7 weeks from now, Wisconsin's going to say we can't do anything with this, and we're going to be back here, which I'm happy to do because I got to come to work anyway. But I know your clients come a long way, and I don't want to bring everybody back for sentencing.
We can do that as long as felony probation is supervised, and they will assist with.
In my experience, if I order it, they will do it.
You're the judge. Yeah.
That is definitely not true. I wish it were sometimes, but we all got to follow the rules, especially.
That's fine.
All right. Will that work for you, state, as well?
Yes.
All right, Mr. McConnell, thank you for your patience in this process. Could I have you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, put your hand down. Could I have you state your full name and spell your full name for the record, please?
Here's your full name.
Between my mask and my accent, Mr. McConnell, it's a miracle anybody can understand me sometimes.
Yeah,
No problem. I'll keep my voice up.
Field, F-I-E-L-D, McConnell, M-C-C-O-N-N-E-L-L.
Welcome again, Mr. McConnell. How old are you?
71.
All right. And how far did you go in school?
Got a BS from the Naval Academy.
All right. Well, I think it's fair for me to assume that you can read, write, speak, and understand the English language with no problem.
I speak it very well. Thank you.
Well, yes, you do. All right. Are you presently under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, medications, anything at all like that that's interfering with your ability to think clearly, make good decisions on your own behalf, communicate with your attorney, and fully participate here today?
Yeah, I take no medications and we communicate very well.
Okay. And you're not under the influence at all at this time. Is that correct?
I'm not,
Under the influence?
Of any alcohol or
no,
medication?
no.
Okay.
I took one aspirin this morning.
All right. And may I safely assume that is not interfering with your ability to understand these proceedings?
I understand.
All right. Have you ever been treated for any mental illness?
Have you been treated for any mental illness?
No, I have not.
He
Okay.
does have a hearing issue, Judge. That's why.
That's not a problem. All right, Mr. McConnell, in this case, this being case number 19-14044 CF10A, for the moment, you're charged with one count of aggravated stalking. That's third-degree felony with a maximum penalty of 5 years in Florida State Prison. However, it's my understanding that your attorney, in negotiations with the state attorney, have agreed to recommend a change of charge to 2 counts of misdemeanor violation of an injunction as described in Florida statute 741.31, those both being misdemeanors of the first degree, each with a maximum penalty of 364 days in the county jail. Further, the Senate's recommendation agreed to between your attorney and the state attorney would be that on each count, you would be placed on 12 months of probation. Each count would be consecutive, meaning you got to finish one before the second one starts, for a total of 24 months of supervision. You're going to be allowed to transfer your supervision to the state of Wisconsin, so you don't have to remain here in Florida. You'd be specifically ordered not to have any contact, direct or indirect, with Kim Pacazio or Timothy Holmseth. You would be ordered not to maintain any social media accounts while you're on supervision. You're not to make any reference to Ms. Pacazio in any videos. You're to prepare a letter of apology to Ms. Pacazio. And then there is a separate written plea agreement of 2 pages with what appears to be your signature on the second page. Is that indeed your signature, Mr. McConnell?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. This agreement recites the sentencing information I've already given to you today. Further provides that you're going to be allowed to maintain email and internet access. You're going to be able to use the internet for your personal and daily living activities. You're going to provide probation with a list of anyone that's going to be receiving email communications from you, and specifically including family and friends. You're not going to communicate any messages by any means to incite third parties to harass or harm Ms. Pacazio. You're going to have the right to modify that contact list of people that you're communicating with at any time. You've got to make sure you're clear, and probation is aware of it in advance. You're not going to possess any firearms or ammunition. Any that you possess now, you're going to turn over to law enforcement while you're on supervision. And specifically, it's going to be the sheriff of Pierce County, Wisconsin. Ms. Pacazio, once she receives your letter of apology, is not going to disseminate that letter to anyone other than her husband and office staff. Will not redisclose that document to anyone else after the fact. Mr. McConnell, you're going to agree to request, with the assistance of your attorney, that you two take down the channel known as the report. And you're going to use all available legal methods to effectuate that request and see that it gets done. Is that a correct recitation of the parties' agreement, Ms. Friedman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it says, Judge, the state just does want to stress that the defendant is not to appear or be filmed in any internet or YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's in paragraph 4 that's spelled out.
Okay, very well. Is that your understanding as well, Mr. Son?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Is that what you want to do, Mr. McConnell?
The part about being filmed in or appear in any videos.
Yeah, I'm happy with that decision or that definition.
Okay, how about the rest of the terms and conditions of the plea agreement? Is that what you want to do today?
Twice with my counsel, and I'm fine with it.
Good. All right. Has anyone promised you anything other than these explicit terms in exchange for your plea today?
No, sir.
Has anybody forced you, threatened you, coerced you in any way to make you come to court and enter this plea or accept the state's offer?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You understand, if you're not a United States citizen, your entry of a plea to these charges could have a very significant and negative impact on your status in this country. It could include everything up to your removal from the United States and your entry being permanently barred. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Do you need any more time to discuss your rights or your options with your attorney?
You need more time to talk?
Absolutely not.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney?
Very much so.
I think you have every reason to be. It looks like Mr. Son's done a very good and thorough job for you in this case. All right, anything further either party wants to make part of this record or any other parties wish to be heard prior to sentencing and acceptance of the plea?
The victim, Mr. Casio, is here, Your Honor, and she does with me.
Welcome, Ms. Pacazia.
Thank
You can step up and join the prosecutor. Can I have you raise your right hand, ma'am? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, put your hand down. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Jen Picasio, last name is spelled Picazio.
Welcome again, Ms. Pacazia.
Thank you.
Pursuant to our Constitution, it is your absolute right to be heard prior to a material phase of this case proceeding. So what is it that you want the court to be aware of?
I'd like to make what's often referred to as a victim's impact statement. And I haven't been in this courthouse since March of 2020. This is a place that I feel very comfortable in. And I'm sure Mr. McConnell does not feel very comfortable in this courthouse. And maybe he'll never want to be here again. And that's the point of these proceedings, is for him to learn how to follow the law, follow the rules, and to follow court orders. If he's told not to speak about someone and not to harass someone and not to threaten someone's life, and a court enters an order to do so, he needs to follow that order, whether it's a Florida court order, Wisconsin order, or a federal order. And with regard to Mr. McConnell, I sat there day after day after day and saw him with hundreds of thousands of followers on a YouTube channel that was misleading the public to believe that Q existed, that Mr. McConnell was all wrapped up in the QAnon movement, that he was a leader, that he knew Donald Trump. He would show people fake phone calls that he had just spoken to Donald Trump, making all of his followers not only fall in love with him, but misled to believe that he was somehow leading some secret internal governmental agency that was completely made up for donations on the internet. And they all had to have a fall guy, I guess someone to attack in order to get more hits and more money. And that was me, a Democratic election lawyer, someone who has done briefs and worked for the ACLU. And I would support your freedoms of speech. I would be in court the first one to protect what you have to say, sir. Even now, you should be able to speak freely. Those freedoms have limitations. They have limitations under the law. And your words, when backed by an army of 250,000 devout followers who pray to you, who call you sir, when you're telling them that I'm a child trafficker, that I eat children, that I do these horrible things in the world, they want to come and kill me. And so just to make sure they did, you read my phone number, my address over and over and over again. You told them to go take me in custody. I have 3 children, sir. I'm a Christian too. I have 3 children in this town. They all went to Christian schools. You told people that I starved my children to death. Well, one of them graduated from a Christian school and went to Auburn University for aerospace engineering. Another one went to American University. Another one's still in a Christian school here, and it's her birthday, and I'd like to leave here and go get her learner's permit with her. It's a matter of, I read a document, you had renounced your American citizenship in a court, filing a sovereign citizen affidavit, declaring that the court did not have jurisdiction over you. You used sovereign citizen legal counsel. Even in this case, you finally have hired competent counsel to get you out of trouble. It's the only person to help you. And one of your sovereign citizen legal counsel is not even here with us anymore because one of your followers murdered him. They're dangerous people, and speech can cause dangerous things to people. And I don't like sitting in my law office defending custody cases and women in distress. I work pro bono hours, 10% of my workload a year. And anyone that works for me is dedicated to legal aid or women in distress legal counsel. That's a rule in my office. And in this particular courthouse on the 5th floor in the other building, that's now knocked down. In 1990, as a college student, I volunteered and they gave us a closet. I worked for Women in Distress as a volunteer. They gave us a closet on the 5th floor. And I helped women day after day after day in between my college classes fill out petitions for protection for them and their children. So you chose to attack one of the very people that is there defending the rights of women and abused children all day long, many times for free. Not giving money to these organizations, but feet on the ground and making my staff do so as well. That's who you decided to attack. Sitting in my office and had cops come, guns drawn at 5:30 at night, had to give me an escort home. Watch my children couldn't even have people spend the night. My housekeeper couldn't come the next day because the cops were guarding my house from you and your people. You told everyone that they were going to come. You said the Marines were going to come and shoot me 7 times in the head. That when I showed up at the courthouse, they'd come out from the trees and get me. You told me I was going to be dead by your people and that the Marines were coming together. I don't see any Marines here, sir. Right? What I see is a judge who's just sentenced you. Because you need to learn to follow the rules. You're a Marine. To follow the rules there, you need to follow the rules down. You need to take those followers that you have and change it to something good. I remember countless times you, and finishing up, you would preach the Bible on your show in between death threats to me and secret coded messages to your followers, making sure that everyone believed that the person you were talking to on the phone was John F. Kennedy Jr., who died in a plane crash 15 years ago, and that you were talking to President Trump.
Please make sure all cell phones are put away.
None of that was true. It was fake to mislead your people, your followers, to donate money to you. So I'm going to conclude here that you like to preach from the Bible while giving me death threats. I'm going to preach from the Bible and not give you a death threat, but I'd like you to listen. This is Proverbs 6:16 through 19. And it says, there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, prideful eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, and a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Sir, I hope you've learned a lesson. This court has jurisdiction over you and over me, and over everyone sitting here. We have to follow the law. That's the right thing to do if you're a patriot. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Pazio. Anything further for the record at this stage, either party?
No, Judge, just we spent a lot of time working out this negotiation, and Mr. McConnell believes it's in his best interest to accept this plan.
Understood. All right, Mr. McConnell, as to the amended charges and the amended information, the court holds now, in lieu of the 1/3 degree felony, the 2 first-degree misdemeanors of violation of an injunction as described in Florida statute 741.31. How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
The court is going to accept a no contest plea. On counts 1 and 2, adjudicate you guilty, place you on probation for a period of 12 months, consecutively per count, for a total of 24 months supervision. You to have no contact, direct or indirect, with Mr. Pazio or Timothy Holmseth. You're going to be allowed to transfer your probation to the state of Wisconsin. You're not to maintain any social media accounts while you're on probation. You're not to make reference to Mr. Pazio in any future videos. You're to complete a letter of apology to Mr. Pazio. Not going to Make reference to Ms. Pazio in any videos or produce, appear, or be filmed in any YouTube or internet videos, or open or access any social media account sites, including Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You will be allowed to use email and internet access for your personal use and daily living activities. However, you're going to first have to provide your probation officer with a list of those people, including your family and friends, with whom you're going to be communicating and contacting by email. And you shall not communicate any messages by any means to incite third parties to harass or harm Ms. Pacazio. You're going to have the right to modify that contact list at any time you want, but you need to do it in advance. Make sure it is in writing to probation before you send any messages by electronic means. You're not going to possess any firearms or ammunition. Any firearms or ammunition you currently have in your possession are going to be turned over to the Sheriff of Pierce County, Wisconsin, for safekeeping while you're on supervision. As I said earlier, you're going to prepare a letter of apology to Ms. Pacazio through your attorney. Ms. Pacazio has agreed not to disseminate this letter to anyone other than her husband and her office staff, all of whom are going to be prohibited from redisclosing that document further. Finally, you're going to agree to request, with the assistance of your attorney, that YouTube take down content known as the report. If your request is not immediately honored, then you, through your attorney, are going to employ all available legal means to see that YouTube does in fact take the report down. You're responsible for court costs per statute. Anything further stated offense?
No.
The only thing, just for clarification, we need to start with probation here, as far as not, that should cover us for the felony probation and not have to go across the street to misdemeanor.
Correct. You should be able to complete all the Florida business while you're here in the courtroom. I think that's going to be a lot cleaner there. They can then make the request to Wisconsin, and I wish you good luck, Mr. McConnell. Hopefully, you'll never need to come back to this courtroom. I wish you good luck.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Pazio.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Mr. Williams.
thank you. Thank you. Don't let me forget.